Hi everyone, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. My name is Kosi, and in today's tutorial we're going to be learning how to cut this beautiful trendy dress that has a cut together cap sleeve with a stylish waistline. Okay, so if this sounds like something you're interested to learn, definitely keep on watching and let's get started. And also don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, turn on notification bell so you'll be notified anytime I upload new video. So guys, let's dive into today's tutorial. So guys, the first thing I need to do is to draw a straight line across here, so it will serve as my starting line. Okay, after that I'll place my tape, then I'm going to come down by my bust point of 9.5 inch. After that I'll come down by 12.5 inch for my under bust. Then lastly I'll mark 16 inches. Okay, this is for the waistline. So I'll also repeat the same thing here. Then after that, I'll go ahead and rule out a straight line across. Okay. So from my shoulder to my waistline is 15 inches. The extra 1 inch there is 16 inches. That is for the allowance. After marking, I'll label as the shoulder line, the bust point, the under bust, and the waistline. Once I'm through with that, I'll also divide my shoulder measurement by 2 plus half an inch stitching allowance. Do the same thing for the bust point as well. Okay. Once I'm through with that, I'll also come down by 7.5 inch. This is for my armhole depth. Then I'll use my ruler to connect it in a straight line like this. Okay, I'll stop the line at the 7.5 inch exactly, also label as a chest line and extend the same line to this other side. Alright, so once I'm through with that, I'll come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. Okay, then I'll use my ruler to connect it. Just give it a slant like this. So after making my slant here, I'll divide what I have left from there to the chest line. I have 6 inches point two. Then I'll divide it by 2, mark the midpoint. After marking the midpoint, I'll also come inside by half an inch. Then on the chest line, I'll mark quarter of my bust measurement. Make my point there. Then I'll use my curve rule to connect the 3 dots I have, just like this. Okay. So once I'm through with that, next thing I want to do is to mark 3 inches for the neck width. Then also come down by 3.5 inch. This is for the neck depth. Then I'll use my curve rule to connect the 2 dots to give me a round neckline. Once I'm through with that, next thing I want to do now is to divide my bust span by 2. Mine is 7 inch. Then divided by 2 is 3.5. This is for the nipple to nipple, if you don't understand what I meant by bust span. So after dividing by 2, I have 3.5. So I'll mark it on the bust point. On the under bust, I'll mark 3 inches. And on the waistline, I'll also mark 3 inches. That means I subtracted just half an inch on the under bust and on the waistline. So I will go ahead and connect the straight line first, and also connect from the under bust to the bust point, just like this. You can see now it gave it another shape. Okay, so always do this when making your princess dart. So from that side here, from that side of the armhole, I'll place my tape, then I'll come down by 4 inch. Okay, so after that, I'll also go ahead and connect from there to this other point. You connect from there to the bust point. After I was done with that, you can see what I have here. It's already taking shape, guys. So on the waistline, I will mark 2 inch, then do the same thing for the under bust. Mark 2 inch on the under bust as well, then connect in a straight line this way. Then use your curve rule to make your curve. Okay, so from the under bust, you have to place your curve rule this way, then go ahead and make your curve. Okay, so after making my curve, you can see the kind of cup shape that I'm already getting. So the shape is already coming out. So on this other side, I'll mark 2 inch here. Okay, that is for the armhole dart. Then I also go ahead and connect it also to the bust point, and I'll also avoid this sharp edge on that side by making my curve with my finger, like blending it a little bit. Okay, just like this. So once I'm through with that, next thing I want to do is to extend this other line so it will not look shorter after or when trying to join the piece. Okay, so I came outside by 1 inch. Now I'm going to extend it this way. Then after doing that, I'll also use my curve rule to connect it into the armhole. Okay, just like this. Once I'm through with that, the next thing I want to do now is to include my basic measurement, which is the bust and the waist measurement. Okay, so you mark quarter of your bust and also add 2 inches for the allowance. On the waistline, mark quarter of your waist measurement, add 2 inch for your seam allowance, then also replace this 2 inch you have here. You place it by making the point there, and also use your ruler to connect this point, just like this. Okay, so guys, after doing this, next thing I want to do is to achieve the cut together cap sleeve on the shoulder area. Okay, So if you look at the picture very well, you would notice it's not a normal shoulder. All right, so that's a cut together cap sleeve. So for that, I will extend the line there with 2 inch. Okay, I already marked 2 inch there. Then I'm also going to extend the line like this. All right, so after extending this line, the next thing I want to do now is to go ahead and connect it from there to this point I marked, the midpoint of our armhole. Okay, that exact point you can see from the shoulder to the chest I have 6.5. So at that midpoint you're going to mark it, and I already have the half I need there. So you're going to connect the cap sleeve. You connect it, just place your curve this way. It's not going to be a straight line, just curve it this way. You just place your curve rule, then you go ahead and connect from there to that exact midpoint. So guys, after connecting, I noticed the wideness I have at the armhole area for the cap sleeve was a little bit small, so I had to come outside by 1/4 of an inch. Okay, you can see what I did here. After that, I also connect it to this other side. So once I'm through with that, I will go ahead and place my tape. You have to place your tape, then come down again by 1/2 inch, then use your curve rule to make a curve. Just connect it this way. This is just to avoid any form of bulgeness or any form of caping on the shoulder side. Okay, so that is to avoid the caping at the shoulder side. So after that, I will go ahead and shade this area. So this area I am shading now will be cut off. So that was the reason why I shaded it at the first place. So after this, go ahead and cut it out. Just look at the way I'm cutting this so you don't mistakenly cut on the right part. Okay, so go ahead and cut yours out just like this. Okay, as you can already see, my pattern paper is not on a fold. Okay, so when making yours, you can make yours on a fold. Like, you can fold yours before cutting this. All right, so now the next thing I want to do is to cut the back piece. For the back, the same thing I did at the front. You have to draw a straight line across first. Then after that, come down by your bust point. Mine is 9.5, like I said before, and under bust of 12.5. Then 16 inches for the half length and the allowance. So after that, go ahead and connect it. The half length can also be called the waistline, so don't be confused. After that, go ahead and label, then also add your 1 inch for the zip allowance. Also go ahead and connect your zip allowance, make a straight line, and also label it as well. So get your armhole depth of 7.5. Also mark half of your shoulder measurement plus half an inch stitching allowance. Go ahead and connect it. Okay, after that, you just rule out a straight line like this. Also label as the chest line and the shoulder line on the other side. Come down by 1 inch for your shoulder slope. Also divide what you have left. Mark the midpoint. Mark 1/4 of your bust measurement. Come inside by half an inch. Use your curve rule to connect the 3 dots you have. Then also mark 3 inches for your neck width. Also come down by 2 inch for your neck depth. Okay, so this is a high neckline. Go ahead and connect the 2 dots by making your round neckline like this. Okay, then also use your ruler to connect your shoulder slope in a slant line, just this way. So after I was done with that, I'll mark half of my nipple to nipple on the waistline, do the same thing on the bust point, also repeat the same thing on the chest line. So this is back pattern, so you don't have to minus the half an inch we took out on the front piece. You know, on the front piece we took out half an inch on the under bust and on the waistline. The only place we left the 3.5 completely is on the bust point. Okay, so this is just the back. So mark half of your nipple to nipple. Also mark half an inch on both sides on the waistline. You can see how I connected it. Okay, that is for the dart intake. Now include your allowance and also replace the 1 inch on the waistline. Do you get what I'm saying? I was explaining too much. That's why I almost missed the explanation of the other side. So on the bust line, you will divide your bust measurement by 4. Mark it, then add 2 inches. The same thing on the waistline. Go ahead and mark, add 2 inches as well. Replace your 1 inch for the dart. Okay. So on this other side, on this zip allowance side, I want to eliminate any form of zip bulge. Okay, so there are two methods of doing this. On the waistline, you can already saw when I came inside by this half an inch, then I had to connect it from somewhere around the neckline to the other point. And this other side, this is second method. Another second method is to also mark 1 inch there. Then after marking, you can go ahead and connect it into this other side. So these are the two methods of avoiding a zip bulge. Okay, so it's either you do it the first way I just did, or you do this the second way. But to tell you the truth, what I normally use is this second method. Okay, it actually works. It works for a lot of people. All right, so I'll stop here. So to also achieve the cap sleeve, the cut together cap sleeve at the back, you also have to extend the shoulder slope line, extend with 2 inch, just like we did at the front piece. Okay, extend it. Then after that, go ahead and connect it to the midpoint of the armhole. Okay, so get your curve rule, then you place it this way. You can see how I placed mine. So from that 2 inch, you place it that way. Go ahead and connect it to this midpoint. You can see what I did here. So when curving this, when making that curve, don't go inside too much. Okay, so go ahead and also mark your half an inch. Then use your curve rule, this other edge of the curve rule, to blend it or to make your curve like this. Okay, this is just to avoid any form of caping on the shoulder side. Then also level as the back. After that, I'll go ahead and cut it out just like this. Okay, so guys, after cutting, guys, you can see the front and the back piece. That is what I have here. So the next thing I want to do now is to cut the downside, that is from the waist to the hip line. I'll go ahead and cut it out, but I'll use brown paper for that. So go ahead and also make a straight line across here. Any straight line I make anytime I'm making any a pattern, that means the starting line. That's my starting line always. Okay, so from the waistline, come down by your 8 inch or 9 inch if you are very tall. That is for the hip line. Then also go ahead and make the straight line. I'll label as the waistline and the hip line. So from that hip line, I'm going to come down by 3 inch. Okay, go ahead and come down by 3 inch, then rule out a straight line and also label as the full length. Then on the waistline, mark quarter of your waist measurement and also add 2 inch for your allowance. There is no that. Then also mark quarter of your hip measurement. After marking, add 2 inch again. Okay, after adding the 2 inch, I will place my tape, measure what I have there in total on the hip line. I have 11 inches and also mark the 11 inches here on the full length. So from the waistline, I'll connect to the hip line and also connect to this full length here. So once I'm through with that, the next thing I want to do is to extend the line on the full length. Okay, I'll extend it to this other side and also mark 2.5 inch there. Okay, so after marking my 2.5 inch there, from the waistline, I'll go ahead and connect it to that exact point where I marked 2.5 inch. Okay, so after marking this, the next thing I want to do is to come here on this folded side. I'll come down by 2 inch, then also come inside by 1.5 inch, just like this. I'll use my ruler to connect the two dots. Then I'll keep my ruler aside, bring my curve rule now to connect from the full length. Just place it this way. You can see what I'm doing here. You connect it from there to this other side. Okay, so after connecting, guys, this is what I have here. Okay, so this is just for the stylish waistline on the downside before the attaching of the net. Okay, so that is what I did here. So after cutting everything, guys, this is what I have here, and this is for the front. It's not the full length, but it's just the full length from the waistline to the hip line. That is what I have here. And the 3 inches I came down by from the waist from the hip line is just for an extension. Okay, and the extra 2.5 inch I marked on the other side of the full length is for the slant extension as well. Okay, so you can see how I curve this. You can see how the curve looks. Just look at it very well. So you would understand the reason why I came out by that 2.5 inches and the reason why I also came down by 3 inches from the hip line. All right, so the next thing you want to do now is to use the same pattern to cut out the back. So for the back, there is nothing much there. You will just have to include your zip allowance of 1 inch. After including your zip allowance of 1 inch, every other thing there is basically the same thing. So the next thing I want to do now is to fold my fabric by 2. Then I'll go ahead and transfer this first piece on the main fabric. So after folding it into 2, go ahead and transfer yours. And when cutting this out on your actual fabric, don't also forget to add your half an inch stitching allowance all the way around, just like this. Okay, so after cutting this for the front, I will use this front to cut the back, but I'll add the 1 inch for the zip. Okay, so this is the back piece and the front piece of the other side. You can see our armhole princess that. Okay, and you can also see the front piece. This is how yours should look like after cutting it out. Okay, so guys, in my next tutorial I'm going to be sharing with you guys on how to join all the piece together, how to sew the lining and this little slit on the front piece that is on the upper side of the neckline, how to cut the gathers, how to cut the net and the lining as well. So guys, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you get your notification immediately I upload the second video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.